Welcome to Fin Carp Fishing. I'm back down on my Syndicate lakes. I've got 4 nights to hopefully catch a decent carp. So let's go. Well, I'm back down fishing for some YATELEY carp. Haven't been down for a while. They've been spawning and the lakes have been closed for a little while, but now they're open. I gave it a couple of weeks after spawning as well, just to make sure that they would feed. Because sometimes they do a bit of resting up and they don't really do anything for a little while just after spawning. On this complex there's actually 3 different lakes. One is pretty much easy, one it can be easy but also can be hard at the same time, and then a really hard water but it's got some big carp in it. This one I'm fishing at the moment is in between the two. There's carp up to mid-30s in here, so there could be a chance, but there's only a couple of 30s in here, so I'm more likely to just get a 20 or something like that. If I do get a carp from here. I couldn't really see anything on the other lake, on the harder lake, and usually if you can't see anything there's no point of fishing on there. Yeah, I might go on there tomorrow. It's meant to be sunny here as well, so I might have a little look around, see what's on there, see what I can see, and if I can find anything then I'll be on there tomorrow, definitely doing a night on there. I've decided to do just one night on here, see if I can catch something. This lake has got a low stocking though. It's 3 acres to like 85 carp, 80 carp, something like that, so it's not easy. But sometimes it can suddenly switch on and you can get multiple bites. I had a little look around, and this corner I've seen a few carp on the surface and a few milling around in close. Mainly not really doing huge amounts, but this is practically where they live. This is their corner. They love being in this corner. They live in these reeds. When I came to the swim I looked for little gaps. I don't know what's in there at the moment. Like I saw a gap and I just thought, right, I'm going to chuck a lead in. I just brought it back a little bit, led it around and just find out what's in it, what if there's weed in it. It looks clear from above, you know, looking over to it, but I wanted to know if there was any gravel underneath it or any silt. Yeah, I found 2 spots, one to the right, one to the left. One to the right, just behind these pads, it's hard silt. It's not gravel. There is probably gravel underneath it, but it's mostly just silt on top of it. But it did feel firm, and I didn't really find that much weed on the actual spot. And then one to the left, that one's just in front of a hanging tree, and in the past I've seen so many carp jumping out on that area. It's a little teeny gravel spot, little hump, and they love jumping around on there. It is shallow, but I have seen in the past lots of them jumping on there. Sometimes in a day I can see over 20 jumps on that spot, so hopefully I do get one. It looks promising, it looks good, the weather looks good for tomorrow morning, which is where I'm expecting to get the bite, so hopefully I do. Fishing with Ronnie rigs and fishing it on a helicopter setup. I am dropping the lead because I'm fishing in quite a snaggy area at the moment. I've also decided that I'm going to fish with tiger nut and plastic horn, little wafter. It's the only thing I've had bites on. Last year pretty much 80% of my carp got caught on that bait, and so far this year I've had all my bites on that bait, so there's no point of changing. I might as well stick to that, I might as well stay with it up until sort of autumn really, when I start to switch on to boilies on here, and that's when I'll focus on them. The particle mix I'm using is maple peas, tiger nuts, hemp, sweet corn, chopped boilies, whole boilies and hemp. Did I say hemp already? I have no idea. The particle mix I'm using is made up of chopped boilies, whole boilies, maize, sweet corn, hemp, maple peas and tiger nuts. It's quite an array of different baits in there, but I wanted all different sizes, all different colours. I just wanted to make sure that they just couldn't single out the hook bait as much, and they just so used to just feeding on different sizes and different baits, eventually picking up the hook bait. That's my hope anyway. I did decide to use my spom in this swim, but I decided to use it as a bit like a dropper and just sort of flicked it out and dropped it on the spots. And try to make as less disturbance as possible. I could throw it in by hand or with a scoop, but I decided to use the spom. At the moment I haven't really seen a huge amount of carp in those areas, so I'm not really spooking anything. I'm just sort of just using it as a dropper, just putting a few spoms in. They will be in later, and they will definitely be in this corner. In the evening they all come up in this corner, start jumping around and milling around in the reeds and the pads and stuff, so that's when I'm expecting to get the bites. So hopefully I do. Well, it's been a few hours and nothing's really happened. I have seen a few carp on the surface. And I've seen a few jumping around in the reeds. That's about it really. I'm sure there'll be opportunity to get a bite either in the next couple of hours or probably tomorrow morning, and then I'll move on onto the harder lake and try and catch something a bit bigger as well. I'm hoping to try and snare a quick carp out of here overnight to get a carp, and then move on to a harder lake and try and get something bigger as well. There is big carp in here, but most of the time you do get them up to sort of 22, 23 pound maybe. There is bigger carp, but majority of the time they're low 20s. In here on the other lake, pretty much average size is 20 pound and bigger, and there's a lot more 30s as well, so that's what I'm after really. I'm after a 30 pounder. I don't think I'm going to get it in here, but it's a good opportunity to get a quick bite. I start my session and then move on to a harder venue and try and catch. I'm probably going to be fishing for literally one carp for 3 nights, which is not going to be easy to try and catch one out of there, but I'm hoping to get one out there because they're really nice looking carp in that lake. So hopefully I'll catch a carp tonight and move tomorrow and hopefully catch then as well. But obviously I'm going to have a good look around tomorrow. I spend the majority of the day just looking around trying to find out where I'm going to go on the other lake, and hopefully I'll do catch a carp on here. Let's see. Well, nothing happened last night at all. Well, you can kind of tell that by no carp so far. Seen a few carp this morning cruising around and sort of knocking around the reeds, and they're around still, but they don't seem to be that much on the feed at the moment. Normally a couple of weeks after spawning they go crazy in this lake, and they usually do get quite a lot of bites, especially in a very short period of time. I've had bites within a couple of hours being on here in this time of year, so quite surprising I've had nothing. I'm going to give it another hour and then I probably will pack away everything and get back on the Barrow and take it up to the other lake and try and find some carp. I'm going to see if there's an opportunity for do a bit of surface fishing and maybe some stalking on there before I settle in what swim I want to be in. It's meant to be much more sunnier today, meant to be warmer as well, so I'm sure I can find something on that lake. It is harder, but there is bigger carp in there. There's quite a lot of 30s and even a 40 pounder, so anything is possible. I suppose it is harder. It will be difficult to try and catch a carp, but you've got to have hope. Hopefully I can get a carp within the next hour. If not, maybe a different lake will make a difference. I don't know at the moment. Usually people move to easier lakes, but I'm moving to the harder lake to try and catch a big carp. I thought it would be a good opportunity to get one last night or this morning, you know, quick bite, get something to start with, you know, mid-upper double, or maybe a 20 from here. Majority of the carp are between sort of mid-double, upper doubles, but you do get the odd 20 as well. Especially I was just after one bite, which is a shame so far. I haven't had nothing. If I don't get a bite next hour, I'll probably be moving on the other lake, see if anything happens on there, and next time you see me I'll be moving to a different lake and hopefully there'll be an opportunity to try and catch one on the surface, or I might just find a swim that I can stay in for the next 24 hours and maybe the 48 hours. Depends on if I want to stay a lot or not. I may move around different swims, but I'll see what happens really, and try and get the best out of my session, and hopefully I'll catch a carp on there or on here. Let's see. Well, I've moved lakes. What's lakes? I don't know what lakes is. Well, I've moved. While I was actually packing away, I started to notice a few carp on the surface on the other lake. I decided to stay for another half an hour and put in some dog biscuits because I started seeing a few cruising around, and then I thought, oh, I'll pack away slowly, and then if they don't really get going, then I probably will move. And they started taking them, and I couldn't believe it. They started taking them, and they actually kept on feeding and feeding and feeding, and I thought, right, I'm going to introduce the hook bait. First carp that come up to it, took it straight away. I hooked into the carp and went for a weed bed, and I managed to sort of ease it out, and it went into another weed bed. Then it tried to go in some pads, and well, the hook pulled and all I got was weed, really. It looked like a decent carp, and I can't believe I have lost it. First bite and I've lost I've lost it. I can't believe it. Oh yeah, so far carp are winning. I've moved into a swim on the harder lake, but it's a swim I fished before, so I know the features in this swim. I know the areas I need to be fishing. I know how much bait to put in, and I've already seen a few cruising carp as well in this area, so it's looking promising. Well, I'm going to sort out putting a few spoms in. I'm also going to refresh the hook baits. I'm actually going to bait up first and then leave it until about 3 o'clock, and then I'll put the rigs in. There is no point of baiting and just chucking the rig straight in. I'll create all that disturbance and then I won't get anything for hours. So during the day I probably might still look around, see if I can find any on the surface. A few people have left as well, which is really good, so it means I can walk down to the far end and see if there's any carp milling around on the surface. I might have an opportunity, we'll see. When it gets to about 3, maybe 4 o'clock, I'll put the rigs in, and then we'll see if I get a bite in the evening. If not, it'll be tomorrow morning. It's mainly evenings and morning bites in this swim. In the past I've had that, so I'm expecting that to happen. It's not going to be easy. This lake can be really hard. I will try in here, and I'll probably be staying here for the next couple of nights. It's meant to rain, is meant to come in at the end of my session, so I might end up having to stay here because there's no way I'm going to be able to move in the rain because everything will get wet otherwise. So I'll probably end up spending the next sort of 3 nights in this swim and hoping that I will get a carp. So hopefully I do. Well, I finally cast my rods out. I've got 1 6 wraps up against the island. There's a lovely little gravel spot on there. My other rod, I put it down to the left. It's a lovely gravel spot down there. There's a few twigs and a few bits of weed down there, but nothing too crazy. Both the spots where I got my rigs, I've actually had carp in the past with actually similar hook baits, all the same hook bait. So things are looking good. I have seen a few carp on the surface and a few cruising around, sort of breaking the surface and coming down, so it looks really promising at the moment. Good spots, I've seen carp, so hopefully I'll catch a carp. I've made things more carpier. I'm actually sitting on a bucket. That's really carpy, that is. Hopefully that gives me extra carpy luck and I'll get a carp. Let's see. Oh god. Oh.
I mean, it looks quite
Hefty.
This is definitely got to be U10
Yeah.
Oh no! I thought so.
He looks bigger. It's definitely 26 pound. I said to you, I thought it was
26 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that 26, 8 out.
Wow, look at that. Oh, £26 and a half. Oh, what a chunk. Tiger Nut Wafter does it again, as it's been doing every fish. Oh, you're a lovely carp, aren't you? Big old fat belly. Well, from losing that fish yesterday on the surface, it's well made up for it. Changed to a harder lake, but it's paid off. Yes. Right, I'm gonna get him back. Oh. Well, what amazing carp that was. I thought that I wasn't going to get a bite. It did look a bit quiet this morning. Last night I did see a few carp cruising around, but they didn't seem to be interested in anything really. They just sort of sunning themselves a little bit and just sitting up in little corners and not really doing anything. I weren't sure if they were going to feed in the morning. I did put quite a bit of bait in yesterday as well. I put 10 spoms out on the island, and that's where I had the bite from. I've caught carp in the past from that spot, and after spawning they do like a bit of a feeding here, so yeah, it paid off. I wasn't sure about how much bait to put in at the start, but then I just thought, no, I'm going to put 10 spoms in to start, see if I can get a carp off of it. I knew I'd be here for a couple of nights on this lake, so there was always an opportunity to get a bite on there. Considering I lost one, so you know, at least I've made up for that carp that I lost on the surface. But yeah, good carp, good size, above average in here as well, so that's really good. Well, I'm getting closer to getting that 30 out of here. at one of these lakes anyway. I'm hoping that one day I'll catch one. I'm just going to have to keep going until I do, really. I'm just celebrating by having a lovely cup of tea. Oh, yeah, lovely. And having a bit of a biscuit as well. This is my third session down here this year. My first two I struggled and I had to go on the easier lake on the complex to catch one, and I caught it like right at the last night or right at the last morning. It's just nice to catch a carp on my second morning. It's making it worth it that I came down here to catch a decent carp. I've struggled a little bit, but I've moved on to an even harder lake, but I've managed to catch an absolute chunk. There is bigger carp in here, lots and lots of bigger carp in here, so you never know. And I'm just going to repeat what I did yesterday, but I'm going to put a little bit less bait in. I'm only going to put in like 6 bombs or something like that. I'm not going to go crazy now I've established a spot. Probably bait it up and then actually not fish it at all for like pretty much most of the day, and then I'm just going to go and look for some opportunities around the lake and give the swim a rest. And in the evening I'll have my baits back on the bottom, and yeah, and then hopefully I'll get something. There's a tactic I've been using here for quite a long time on this, especially this lake, where I've actually, as soon as I've started the bait up, I usually do it between sort of 11 and 12 o'clock, and I don't fish it until like 3:30. If the carp are busy on the surface and not going to go down and feed, I normally don't put my hook baits out until at least about 4, but I put them out at 3:30 yesterday, and because I didn't really see huge amounts after about 3 o'clock, so I thought there could be an opportunity for the evening, but looks like they were feeding in the morning. But usually they feed in the morning on here. There's always an opportunity to get bites on any time on here, but majority of the time it is morning bites. Hopefully I continue catching, but if I don't, still worth it. But we'll see what happens, and put the bait in, give it a rest, get the rigs back out later. You never know. Hopefully it will catch another one. Well, I've spent all day looking around to see if I can find an opportunity on the surface, and I haven't seen a single carp all day. Yeah, considering the sun's come out today, and I thought, oh, I might see a few carp on the surface, haven't seen anything at all. I think it needs to be a bit more sun, maybe couple more days of sun, and maybe they'll come up on the surface on this lake. But at the moment they're sort of just under the surface, I think, and that's why reason I can't see them. There is a little bit of like a brown tinge to the lake at the moment, and I think that's blocking me from seeing them. But it doesn't really matter too much. Well, I've cast the rods back out now. I haven't really seen anything in the swim, but I'm sure I will get something. I'm just hoping to repeat what I've done already and just keep going on it, and hopefully I'll get another carp. If I don't, still happy with what I've got so far, so it'd be nice to get another carp. I'm not really too bothered about what size it's going to be. I'm after a 30-pounder in here, but even a mid-double would do for me, and for another fish it'd be really good to see if I'm consistently catching carp on this lake. So hopefully I'll get a carp by tomorrow morning. Let's see. Well, it was pretty quiet last night. I did hear a few splashes down to my left, a little more further down the lake. A couple of carp boshing out, and it did wake me up a few times actually. I had a little look around the corner to see where they were, much further down. but you know, it was something happening last night, and in front of me I haven't seen anything at all, but at least I've actually seen some carp in the rough area that I'm fishing and jumping out. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to get a bite this morning. I've only got a couple more hours really of bite time so far, and if I don't really get anything in the morning, I might end up thinking about moving to one of the other lakes, just to try and get another bite. Yeah, so I'm gonna see about that and have a look, think about what I'm gonna do next, and yeah, have a cup of tea, sit back, and hopefully I'll get a carp, and if not, make a move, and hopefully that'll make a difference. Let's see. Well, I've moved on to the easier lake just so I can get one more carp to end. It would be nice to end with a nice mid-double or something like that. That'd be really good. There's lots in here like that size. Yeah, I'm hoping that I will get one. I've actually come to a swim that I've actually never fished before on this lake, but it looks really good. It's got pads and it's got hanging trees, and that's always a really good sign that there could be lots of carp in this area. They love hiding in all this sort of stuff on this lake, so yeah, I'm probably more likely to get at least one, hopefully. I decided to put one to my left. It's just behind some pads, just below a hanging tree, and the one to the right, well, the hanging tree actually hangs down really close in, and it sort of continues all the way along, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to cast down there. I decided to borrow my brother's bait pole so I could actually put a rig right in there. The hanging tree sort of go all the way along, and then it hits like a tree right at the end, so I wanted to get my rig right in there, and the other way to do that is to get a bait pole or maybe a bait boat in there, and no way you're going to be able to cast into that area. So yeah, so I've done something a bit different on one, only because our brother's here and I managed to borrow his pole. Otherwise I would just been able to just fling it just in front here, and then that would have been it for me. But yeah, I think it looks really good. I've kept to the same hook baits, the Tiger Nut wafter. There's no point of changing the hook baits. I haven't changed anything at all. I've done the same rigs, same baits, and just continue with them. I've done really well on here already. I've had a couple of sessions where I've done my last sort of night on here, and I've managed to catch one on a Tiger Nut wafter, so it's a good bait, and this is a lake with lots of carp, so hopefully we'll get one more carp just to end. That would be nice. Well, got another bite. Not very big, but it's a nice fish. Probably about £10 this one. Yeah, at least I've had another bite. That's really good. Alright, better go home now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.